Ciao, buongiorno ragazzi. Thank you so much for tuning into another edition of the Inter Worldwide podcast. And we're recording this edition raw, uncut, and only moments after Milano Siamo Noi. We have painted the city black and blue. Actually, no, we haven't. We painted the city black and blue a while ago. We've just been going over our coats of paint, our coats of blue, because that's what color of Milan is representing hardest at the moment. And I've got my two raw, realist guests, Christian Rivas. How you doing, brother?
Enjoying the win, living life.
That's it. And Mario, it's good to have you back on, man.
Yo.
So we have just beaten Milan 2-0 in what I've just said, the most comprehensive derby I've seen in a while. Like, the scoreline might only say 2-0, but the gulf and the gap in between quality and in between the two sides was as big as I have seen it for a long time. We had plenty of derbies under Mancini and Mazzarri where both teams were just as equally as shit as each other, and it had to come down to the luck of the draw, or the lucky tap-in, or the Guardian shot. But, at the end of the day, today was Inter's derby, and everybody on that pitch performed really well. I'll start with you, Christian, man. Overall, what did you make of the derby, and who stood out for you, bro? Go through your hits and misses.
Well, I thought the derby was a great game. Honestly, this was one of the most piss-poor Milan performances I've ever seen, to be honest. They were just bad, dude. Like, you could see that the life got sucked out of them even before the second goal dropped. They were just so poor. For me, I guess I would say, of course, the GOAT Danilo stood out. Man, it's just so hard. Everybody was doing so well. Barella, Brozovic, Sensi. That's the midfield we need to go moving forward. Like, it was just ridiculous, dude. Like, they completely bossed that midfield. I thought it was gonna be a dogfight. Turned out being a pit bull against a puppy. It was crazy. Godin was awesome. Lukaku, bro, his off the ball movements were just so crisp. Like, you
Yep.
see him pulling 2 to 3 defenders at a time, opening up tons of space for Toro and Barella and Sensi. It was just great. It was fantastic. A lot of people saying he played poor. I don't see it. I was watching him the whole game, and he was just great.
This Conte-esque style of football that we're playing, I'm watching more and more players off the ball, and it really takes the heat off our ball carriers. So no, Lukaku doesn't need to carry the ball all the time to have a good performance. Even El Toro, in my opinion, doesn't need to have the ball all the time or score a goal to have a good performance. Brozovic, Sensi, and Barella are picking up the ball, and then you can blink, and they've got 8 or 9 meters to move ahead forward because of Lukaku's awesome ability to track these defenders with him. Mario, what did you think of the game, man, and who stood out for you?
Players that stood out were players like I mentioned. Godin was very good in the back. Having him just adds just so much leadership and some charisma. It just makes a difference having him on the field, winning those tackles, those headers. It's almost like the defense is just rejuvenated after such a poor performance on Tuesday. Who else was good? Lukaku was good. There was the same people that said that he played bad are the same people that love Icardi's performance on a freaking weekly basis. It just doesn't make sense to me because Lukaku's moving off the ball, holding it up like a freaking proper forward, and then he's rewarded with a headed goal. So I mean, I don't know what the hell people are complaining about. Him and Toro Martinez are really starting to click up there. Martinez is just trying way too hard to score and do it all himself at times, and it's frustrating. But I mean, I can't fault him for it because he's just being a typical Argentinian striker.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with most of what the boys have said. I'm going to start myself by talking about Diego Godin and the experience that he brings. And man, he can carry the ball exceptionally well for someone his age. He just looks so calm and collected, can distribute a pass, and more often than not, you'll see him run forward with the midfield as well when they're carrying the ball forward. He's the kind of transition defender that can kind of get a read of the game and where it's going in that particular play. So if he sees Sensi, Brozovic, and Barella elevating forward and he can see that the attack's on, he'll push up a little bit as well and start barking out orders. He's just almost like a dictator, like he's dictating everything from the back, and it's absolutely awesome. The longer Diego Godin stays fit, the better, because that back three today was not troubled one bit, and I don't see them having many troubles unless it's against a very, very quality opposition. I'll go over to Christian to talk a bit about that. Diego Godin, man. Christian, how many years do you think we can lock this guy down for at our club? Do you think Godin will play again regularly over the next couple of seasons, or do you think he's a one-season thing for us?
No, I think we got him for a good 3 seasons. He'll be at a top level for the next 2.5, and then he'll slowly start declining toward the end of the third season. Honestly, I think it's such a great purchase. Do you see what he did to Liao? Purchase what I'm talking about. We got him for free.
Yep,
It makes it even
absolutely.
better.
Yeah, and it's a proper free transfer, not one like Juve, where they pay like 12 million in agent fees and they play Rabiot's mom 10 million as well. It's an actual proper free transfer. If anyone wants to go and do a comparison, go on.
And also, just how he bossed Liao, man. This kid Liao was being touted as one of the best talents coming up in the world, and man, Godin just showed it in his experience, dude. This kid Liao kept trying to do all these little tricks on FIFA. Like, nah, bro, you're not doing that on Godin. You go try
He
Yeah,
that
ended the
somewhere
freaking
else.
guy's
It's
career.
not try it on Benucci. Someone that's not that great of a defender and that's highly overrated. Try that on him or Delict, but you're not gonna get that on no Godin, Skriniar, or DeVry. It's just the way it is.
yeah,
The look will be on
agree.
ice skates.
What did you think of De Vrij today, Mario? What did you think of De Vrij?
He wasn't bad. It was much better than what we saw from last week, or the last games. He kind of just fills in with Skriniar and Godin. As long as he's not like the main focal point of the defense, it seems like he's gonna be all right. Because when it was just like him, Skriniar, and D'Ambrosio in the back, it just wasn't working out. Um, they need that Godin to just like hold the back three together. When they're in the four, it's not so bad because they have the cover and they don't have to do it all themselves. But with that third back, it has to be Godin. Um, it can't be D'Ambrosio as well as he's covered, you know, in the ghetto makeshift center back position. It's just not the same. But De Vrij, he's just gotta be more dominant without Godin to be the leader. Him and Skriniar they just gotta do better without Godin.
Yeah, I thought Skriniar was actually very good today after a couple of shaky performances. I thought he was back to that kind of like that beast that brought a very, very physical presence. It was good to see him moving the ball up confidently as well. Under Spalletti, it was always refreshing to see Skriniar play as the ball-playing centre-back because he had the confidence to drive us a little bit forward and help out the midfield when the creativity and the push forward wasn't coming from the double pivot because we lack such a midfield presence. But he's taken a little bit of a more reserved role because, we do have that technicality and that positioning of Barella and Sensi and Brozovic, who, let's face it, all three can drop back and collect the ball. All three can push into the middle and pass, and all three can run to the front to help out the attack. So I guess Skriniar, it was good to see Skriniar get more into his own today, like we saw him in the last season. I thought he was very, very good. Let's talk a little bit about the wing backs. I will echo what the boys said about D'Ambrosio. I actually thought he was a bit shaky in the first 30 minutes. I don't think him as the wide man in the 3-5-2 is as best of an option as Candreva, only because Candreva seems to be able to do more with his crossing and cutting in on the inside. But Danilo, I thought, was a lot better in the second half when we pushed up a little bit more and took the game a little bit more to Milan. He's still got a very good presence on that right-hand side, and he gets into the box to help out a lot. Very unfortunate to have hit the post in the first half. I was a little bit critical when I saw it live, but I've watched the replay back, and the ball does come at him pretty quick. I know what the boys already thought about D'Ambrosio. They've already said it, but let's switch over to the left wing-back position, Asamoah. Christian, all you, bro. Asamoah today, how'd you find him?
Oh, he was very good today. He just
Mm.
did his job. He made some good cut-ins. He played very well with the midfield. He covered well when you saw people push up. He was just good. He had some good crosses. One thing about that Danilo assessment that you made though, the thing I would prefer about him over Candreva is he takes less of a risk on shots. Candreva
Mm.
would just randomly shoot. I like to have a player that's gonna sit there and pass the ball up and work their way down the middle. Just kind of how Asamoah was doing today. You didn't see Asamoah do no crazy shots from out of 25, 30 yards out. No, he sat there, he picked his passes, he made his moves, he did quick 1-2s. It's what you need him to do.
Yeah, I think, man, tell me if you agree. That's been Asamoah's biggest focal point to me under Conte this season. His little 1-2 touches and ability to link up with the left centre mid or whoever out of Brozovic or Sensi, because it's very, very, very rarely is Barella on the left-hand side. Barella's usually always on the right-hand side. I think Asamoah's hold-up play on that left-hand side and his communication and touching with Brozovic and Sensi has been nothing short of a revelation so far this season, Rivas. What do you reckon?
Well, no, I agree. It's good to see a player that's passing a lot. That's one thing that we need is our wingbacks to play with the midfield, and that's the one thing that irks me about Candreva is even though Candreva has nice crosses, just watching him sometimes he doesn't work as smoothly with the midfield like Asamoah and D'Ambrosio were doing today. I mean, I wouldn't say D'Ambrosio was hectic the first 20 minutes. I think the game was kind of settling itself down, and everybody was getting their positions down, but I like the fact that these guys are working down the middle. They're working with the midfield. As we saw today, the midfield completely bossed the game. That's the type of performance we need. We need the midfield to step up and handle itself. And it's one thing that's lacked the last few seasons is having the proper midfielders and proper players to do it. And we did it today, so there's nothing that we can really complain about.
Yeah, Mario, what about Asamoah for you, man? Were you impressed with him today, and how have you found him this season?
He was good today. He's been really good so far. He's really finding himself under this Conte system, and I'm looking at like the heat maps that they have after the game, and it's just crazy how high up the field that he receives the ball and just like stays in that area. He's literally just like right outside of the 18, and he's always receiving the ball, playing it, looking for those 1-2s, and then just putting in those crosses. But they're not necessarily deeper; they're earlier if they are coming. And I think that's where we've been most dangerous with him because if he can put those earlier crosses in, Lukaku's gonna have a better angle to receive the header at a diagonal rate on the crosses. But he's also been cutting right back into the middle, finding Brozovic, finding Sensi. He's linking up with them and just been pressing high on the defensively because him and D'Ambrosio were super high in the first half, especially. Just pressing this shit, making Rodriguez and Conte just make the mistakes that almost led to Lautaro's first goal, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes into the game, whatever it was. They just pressed the shit out of them, forced the mistakes, and Milan could not make it out of their back. They were going left back, center back, center back, out of bounds, or to Sensi or to Brozovic. It was just constantly just just nonstop pressure for like a good 30 minutes. We let off, they started to come back in, and then we just gave it right back to them.
Yeah, I would agree as well. Let's move on to the midfield, which, as Rivas already said, was the best point of the game. We absolutely bossed that midfield. Now, Conte deserves a lot of credit for this because Stefano Sensi has been in the spotlight for the last month. Everybody in Italy knows that we got an absolute bargain of a deal, and as every minute has played on, Stefano Sensi has looked like our Xavi or our Pirlo. So today I was not surprised at all to see Gianpaolo put Kessie on him to try and man mark him out of the game. To be fair, Kessie did have the physical presence over him. We saw Sensi, obviously get a little bit touched off the ball. But if that's Sensi's game being bullied and touched off the ball, he was still awesome. He was still a 6.5 or a 7 for me. And I think that Conte got this spot on because of so much the attention was on Sensi. Nicola Barella had his best performance in an Inter jersey today. He was absolutely phenomenal. The way he picked up the ball and made those amazing driving passes forward. He's also very, very good at switching his feet and switching the direction of the play. All he needs to do is to beat that first defender, and he opens up all this space for himself, and he'll just switch the play across the field, get himself into a really productive position again, and then, would you look at that? Perfect chip for Lukaku to grab that goal. Ragazzi, we'll stay on Mario because he's got the form. Barella, Sensi, Brozovic. What do you think of our midfield today, bro?
They were all over the place. There was just nonstop, just pressure, and they were just keeping the ball, moving it however they pleased. Brozovic put in the performance that we needed for him to put in against Slavia Praha, where he was just on the ball, picking all the spaces and getting the ball back. He wasn't able to do that, and when he just wasn't good in that Champions League match. But today he just did it at free will. He was finding passes everywhere. He was just keeping the ball, making it move. making freaking Milan just have a nightmare in the middle. Barella intercepted everything. He was all over the place, winning balls, spraying them all over the place. Sensi, typical, and then they were just finding Lautaro, they were finding Lukaku. Lukaku's giving right back to them, and then Brozovic just freaking decided, hey, I'm going to take some shots now. Scores a stupid goal, but whatever, it's a goal at the end of the day. And that's what we needed to just kickstart the performance.
Yeah, as soon as that ball was deflected into the back of the net, Milan looked about 10 gears even worse than they did for the rest of the match. And, they were pretty bad to have started it to begin with. Christian Rivas, the midfield, bro. Who was the best out of the three for you? But what did you think of it all as a whole? Because I know all three of them were good.
That's hard.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Brozovic.
cool.
He was the engine, bro. He was just picking some crazy off the ball passes.
Yep.
He was making some crazy switches. He was giving some good long balls, some good diagonal balls. He was putting pace behind it. And
He played a crazy one to, I think it was Politano towards the end of the game.
Yeah, the switch.
Oh my god, that shit was perfect.
Yeah, it was.
Dude, like, he was just the engine, bro. It was ridiculous. Like, I was watching him, I was like, yo, this guy's like the real engine. Like, this guy's the engine in the Ferrari right now. Like, just watching him work. Like, don't get me wrong, Barella and Sensi were amazing. They were great. But I just feel that Brozovic, with his passes, his movements, and his ability to break up balls before they got into our final third, fast. Outside of that, dude, I really don't know who else we could argue for between the midfield. I mean, everybody was just so dope.
Yeah. Before we move on to some of the rest, I'm going to break up the podcast with a few comments in from fans that came in, like just towards the end and towards the start. One said, so glad we didn't sell Politano to Fiorentina. He's our best substitute we've ever had. I might come back to that one. Sensory needing for this one. Godin should definitely get a rim job after tonight's performance. He definitely deserved it. How old is this guy? Question mark. I think we've covered that already. And last one. So happy for Romelu Lukaku. Got his goal and he needed it. It was a textbook Rom goal. I'll just back that one up. That is a textbook Romelu Lukaku goal. Him holding the ball up and then getting into the right decision and knowing where the goal is off that head or off that flick. That's what Romelu Lukaku does best. And that was absolutely inch perfect from Red Rom. I'll go straight back to, Politano. I'm very, very happy that we didn't sell him. And I actually agree. Politano as a substitute, boys, honestly, that burst of energy you get when he comes on, he runs at defenders and he beats them with ease. It's like he's in the training ground. What did you reckon of Politano coming on again today, Mario? And would you say this guy is easily one of the better substitutions you've seen as an Inter fan?
Like I said in my ratings today, he just comes on and he changes the pace as soon as he comes on. He just beats players with such ease, and it's just so smooth when he cuts onto his left foot. It's just like, I don't even know. It's just like running my hand through the sand or something like that, and you get some rocks or something. But that's a whole different story.
That rocket though, the one that hit the crossbar, I thought that was
that was money. That's like the second one he's done in like 2 games. He almost had one last week or like midweek, whatever the hell it was. But that's close. Like, it's become like a typical like Politano fashion where he just gets a layoff from Lukaku or Lautaro, whoever the player may be, cuts in, and then he just rifles one across the whole box. And I don't even think Donnarumma moved. He just looked at it. He pulled a Handanovic on it.
I reckon having Politano coming off the bench with that energy, it's like I've never been so excited to see someone come off the bench for us since Julio Cruz. I know Rivas and
one more thing, because we always wondered, like, where is this guy gonna play? Where is he gonna fit in Conte's system? And we found him as like the perfect change of pace, forward, outside mid, attacking mid, whatever you want to call him. But he's found it.
Hey Anthony, didn't somebody say that in an earlier podcast?
Maybe someone said it. I can't remember though. Who was it?
I'm 99% sure it was me.
I think it was me.
No, it wasn't. Get out of here.
It's always me.
You said Sensi sucked.
I never said Sensi sucked.
No one said Sensi sucked, bro. We just know that you advocated it the most. So big ups to you. That he's been the steal of the market. I need to talk one more time about Lukaku. If it's true, this little media thing that broke about 3 days ago of Lukaku and Brozovic having a fight in the locker room. I believe they've just released the transcript. And I think they were actually having an argument over who was going to score the first goal. They both knew that they were both going to get on the score sheet today, but now we can finally reveal that the bust up in the dressing room was actually an argument as to who was going to score first against Milan. But moving on, like more seriously, it's a little bit childish to see the media still trying to feed these dressing room dramas into our club. Antonio Conte, about a fortnight ago, when we defeated Udinese, said to one of the people interviewing him live, no, I know exactly what you're doing here. You're trying to build us up so that at the first sign of failure or the first sign of weakness, you can crush us down. Rivas, your reaction to basically Conte saying that and the media breaking that image of Brozovic and that story of Brozovic and Lukaku during the week and seeing them happy and hugging today.
Well, that's one thing I got while I was talking to one of my friends out there. He told me, he was like, yo, it's nothing serious. He's like, typical media, don't believe it. It's horse shit. I said, yeah, you're probably right, you know? Also, one thing about Conte, dude, I love how he's just trying to keep everybody's head focused. You know, like, yo, this is our objective. This is our goal. Let's just keep our heads down and work. Wasn't it the Milan coach that said, we put our eyes up and we keep looking while Conte's players look down?
Yeah.
Well, looks like Conte had the last laugh.
Yeah, pretty much. He, I think it was the reporter asked Gianpaolo. He goes, Antonio Conte has got his team training really hard and working on fitness and focus. And then Gianpaolo said, he goes, I keep my eyes up and we focus on football, and that's it, playing beautiful football. Well, I didn't see any beautiful football from Milan today. I haven't seen any beautiful football from them all season. In fact, their shallow victories over two new sides, I think, they're gonna do more harm than good. And we'll talk a little bit about Milan now. I don't like to focus on opposition too much, but for me, that's one of the poorest Milan sides I've ever seen try and take it to us at the San Siro. Milan were the home team today, so their fans had a nice little tifo going. I always respect the rival fans' tifo and the effort that they go to, even if they are different supporters. But if you're a Milan fan at the moment, my confidence would be down. I'd even be questioning whether Gianpaolo can get the most out of the players that he has. I think that these are players that aren't really technically suited to his system, and you're seeing so many struggles. Like, there's just so many times you can give the ball to Suso and hope that he can cut in and create an extra 15 and 20 yards himself, because Suso was made to drop back and collect the ball quite deep today, and I thought that really worked to our advantage. Suso, I don't rate him that highly as a player, but if you do get him the ball in that Iron Robben part of the pitch, he can do something. He can be a threat, but the fact that he had to drop back and play more of a role where he was kind of picking it up in midfield today, he was not threatening at all. Mario, if you were to take a look at this Milan side at the moment, are there any players in there that make either the Inter starting 11 or even make the Inter bench? That's something I wrote down that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, there's actually a couple that I'd look at, because I don't hate this Milan team as much as you might, because I feel like they do have some talent, and it's just gonna take some time to get it out of them. Like, you have Suso, who's so smooth on the ball. Sometimes he takes that extra touch, sometimes he makes that wrong decision, but I feel like he's one of their strongest players, and he can dictate the play if they put it on him, but they just seem to not for some reason, and it comes down to the coaching of them, and it's just so poor. Çalhanoğlu, he's another one. Not his best game, but I feel like he could be a good bench player. Throw him in our midfield, he'll make some stuff. He's got the long range shots. He's really technical, but I guess maybe not as tactical as he might need to be, it seems. But like him, Christian hates on Leao. I thought, he's going against Godin, one of the best defenders in the world. I don't really think this is a good sample size, but you can see he's trying and he's finding the right movements and spaces. He, against any average defender, like I said earlier, if you go against freaking De Ligt, you're gonna have him on skates, falling on his face every 4 seconds. If you put him against Milan, I think he would be doing much better. And then finally, Lucas Paqueta. I really liked watching him play. He came on, he played a crazy ball from midfield into the box to Piatek's foot, and if he took that down, it's a goal, and I think it's a 1-1 game at that point, maybe 2-1, but whatever. The guy came on, and he's like the Politano from Milan. It seems he can do so much, but they just don't want to put him in. And whatever reason, he doesn't get the stupid tactics that Gianpaolo's teaching. I don't know what stupid excuse he gave, but like those are the only people. Maybe even Teo Hernandez. He came on, he went right at D'Ambrosio and Godin. He hit the post. Rodriguez had a nightmare. So I guess maybe my freaking my idea of Hernandez is better because of that, as a
Yeah.
comparison.
I'd agree with what you say. I don't necessarily hate this Milan team. What I have had an issue with in the past is just a lot of their fans just trying to tout their superiority. But at the end of the day, I just think the golfing quality was there. But I'd agree with Mario that like Gianpaolo didn't really have his reasons for putting Paquetá on the bench. I think he got a few things wrong today. Souza as the attacking midfielder behind Piontek and Leao, I thought that was incorrect. I thought starting Leao as his debut, because this is his first start. I'm 99% sure today was his first start for Milan in a derby. I don't know how many experienced coaches actually would do that and throw a player like that into their debut as their first game. I definitely wouldn't have done that. So moving over to Rivas, any of those Milan players in that team, the likes of Kessie, Musacchio, Rodriguez, Romagnoli, Donnarumma, Piontek, any of these players, Rivas, do any of yours make the Inter starting 11 or even the bench?
Yeah, there's two of them I take on my bench. Romagnoli for sure. I feel he's really underappreciated. He's not as bad as people make him say. He's just like Ranocchia. He's had a lot of shit partners, bro. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's not a bad player. Again, Suso, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like he's underrated. He's not a bad player either. He's killed us a couple derbies. He's a pretty decent player. I would definitely take those two guys on my team.
Suso was
Uh,
receiving the ball so deep in the midfield,
He
it was
was.
ridiculous.
He
It was
was.
ridiculous, dude. You remember last year where he caught that one on the wing? He cut
Yeah,
in and
Yeah.
hit a rocket.
Yeah.
Suso and Romagnoli aren't bad players, bro. I even go as far as say I'd even take Piatek. I'm not gonna lie. Last year I admired Piatek. He's not a bad player. This year
for
he's
sure.
not showing any of that. But I mean, it's still early in the season. It's a new coach, new tactics. Me personally, I said at the start, I told my cousin Jesse, the biggest mistake Milan did was firing Gattuso for Gianpaolo. Gattuso actually had this Milan team finishing finished tied for fourth. You know what I mean? They were tied for fourth, bro. You got to give them credit there. It wasn't they didn't make the champions, but they were right there all the way to the last minute. And off a crazy ass goal from Nangolan, we go through and they stay out. You know?
Not only that, man, you got to remember there were parts of last season where we broke out into 7, 9, 10 point leads. And it's everybody knows it's very hard to chase the pack at the end of the day. So the fact that Gattuso was able to get those boys back up to that position by the end, it definitely would have he would have had my vote of confidence from the board. But, Milan, I think at the moment are at that point in their rebuilding phase that we were around about the time Mancini came in for the second time, or maybe towards the end of Mazzarri. It's going to take them another 3 or 4 years, I think, to get back to the level that they want to even start to perform at. Let's move on a little bit. We've got a couple more things to cover. I don't want to be too long today. We will go to the next fixture against Lazio. Now, we play Lazio in a midweek fixture coming up. It is going to be a tough one. But it's going to be a lot tougher for Lazio, and I'll tell you why. They just played against, I think it was Cluj. Can any of you guys just back that up for me before I go on? Is
It
it
was
Cluj?
Cluj.
All right, cool. So they lost 2-1 to Cluj midweek in the Europa League, which was actually close to 48 hours after we played our game in the Champions League. You got to remember, Inter had the earliest possible kickoff in Europe. For me, it was a 2:55 a.m. wake up on Wednesday morning. So we had the extra 48 hours rest there to prepare for our Serie A match. Cluj defeated Lazio 2-1. Lazio also coming off the back of a 2-1 defeat to Spal last round in the league. And now they need to play in about 16 to 18 hours time, I think, against Parma, which will be another tough fixture before the 4-day turnaround and facing us. Boys, I'll start with you, Mario. What are your thoughts going into Lazio in 3.5, 4 days' time? Do you think that we are going to have enough momentum, enough quality, and basically just enough energy to do them at the Miazza?
I think Lazio's going to come out tired. And how did they finish against Cluj? Did they lose that game?
They lost that game 2-1 to Cluj. They were away from home, but they scored first though. It was I forget. I think it was Kusanga who scored first, and then they conceded a penalty just before half time, and Cluj scored again with about 15 to go.
Well, that stinks. Well, well, they're playing Parma this weekend, and they got the early. No, not the early. They got a night game
Yeah.
tomorrow. So I think they'll be tired. Um, I think I think as long as we keep putting our form in and continuing our runs, or continuing our form and putting in the work, um, Lazio should be a piece of cake. I don't really think they're that good of a team this year. They're 1-1-1, a win, a draw, a loss. So I don't really think that anything's really going their way yet. Uh, I think it should be not hard of a game, but I think we'll give it to them. We'll keep it going. We're gonna put in another performance like we put in against Milan. We're gonna pressure the shit out of them, and I don't think they'll know what to do.
Yeah. Rivas, your thoughts and predictions going into the Lazio match?
So I just read a quote from D'Ambrosio that said we don't accept draws anymore. So I'm gonna say we're gonna take a dub off of what D'Ambrosio said. We're gonna win. I'm saying probably 2-0, 1-0.
Yep, sounds good to me. I'm going to actually echo that one. I think we're going to go in pretty comfortably. I remember when we beat them 3-0 in Rome last season. That was actually probably one of my favorite performances. But I think that despite going there with more energy, it'll still be a pretty tough opening 30 minutes, but we'll be able to open that game up pretty well. So I'm going to go with 2-0, goal from Lukaku or Martinez, and from midfield. Hopefully all is well. One more thing to talk about, because I haven't spoken about it on the podcast yet. We did not get off to a winning start in our Champions League campaign. We drew 1-1 with Slavia Praha. I'm going to start with Christian Rivas because he
Do
seems
we
to be a
really
little
got to
bit...
talk about this?
Yeah, we do, bro, because I haven't covered it, and you're here, so we might as well. So Christian, basically, every time he goes to watch Inter play a Champions League game, I'd suggest you all go to your local betting agencies and chuck money on a 1-1 draw. You want to tell us why, Christian?
Because every time I fucking go, it's always a 1-all draw. And it's only in the Champions League. When we play in the
Against
league,
the shitty teams too.
my ratio is always a win.
Yeah. So, first of all, Christian, tell us a little bit about, not necessarily the game, if that's given you some bad post-traumatic stress disorder, but what about the atmosphere? How did it feel going to the Miazza? Just describe it a bit for our listeners, especially for most of them who haven't been.
Well, it was my 8th time going, and I always have a good time. Honestly, my favorite thing about the game is always showing up about 2-3 hours early. This time I showed up only an hour early. It was because I took a 25-minute nap, dude. Honestly, usually when I do these trips the first day, and Mario will tell you, the first day you get there and you're coming from the United States, you stay awake because you land early in the morning, but you leave in the mid-afternoon, U.S. time. So I left at 5 p.m. I didn't get into Milan till around 11 because I missed my connecting flight, and I went 33, 34 hours without sleep. So usually I try to show up to the stadium 2.5 hours, 2 hours before kickoff, because the atmosphere around the stadium is pretty dope. There's music going on. There's vendors selling scarves and stuff. And then you got the food trucks where they're selling salami paninis, prosciutto. They're selling all these great foods, and you're just soaking it up. It's pretty dope to see the Miazza, a field where legends and gods of football have walked and played in. You have your Ronaldos, you have Roberto Carlos, Zanetti, Baggio, Bam Bam Zamorano, even Ronaldinho from Milan, and a bunch of other greats like Pirlo played in that stadium. So the atmosphere, once you get there, is kind of like, I guess, for a baseball fan, it's like going to Wrigley or Camden Yards, a legendary stadium that is rich of history.
Yeah, so good.
The atmosphere in the stadium was just dope. From the second, as soon as the Champions League song went off, you heard both sides of the fans just automatic started chanting and singing, and they were ready. They were pumped and they were ready to go. Watching the game itself, it was kind of annoying. I guess it was Gagliardini just kind of irritated me in the midfield. Candreva was irritating me before he got subbed. Then when Lazzaro came in, he definitely irritated me. As you
Who
could
didn't
tell, I was
irritate
kind of
you?
irritated.
Go on.
No, I'm saying I was kind of irritated most of the
Yeah.
time when they were playing. I don't know. It's just
I get it.
frustrating sometimes. It was like last year when I went to the PSV game. I got annoyed out of the tactics Spalletti was playing. Me personally, I wouldn't have finished in a 3-5-2. I would have gone with a 3-4-3. I would have subbed in Poyetano for Lautaro. I would have took Gagliardini out, and I would have put in Alexis because at that point we were down 1-0 and we needed a win. You know, that's just me personally. That was my personal tactical view of the match. But a 1-1 draw, annoying. But seeing how the game unfolded, I guess you're content with it. Seeing that Barca and Dortmund drew as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess after we've seen the deadbeat performance again, it'll reinvigorate some of that confidence that we left on the pitch at the Miazza against Slavia. Staying on Slavia, Mario, what were your thoughts on the game, man? And how do you think we're going to move forward in the Champions League?
I think this was like the one time that Conte will be unprepared this season. He just didn't know what he was getting into. Slavia was pressing us so high, and we weren't prepared for it. And we had our chances. Yes, we should have scored 2 goals right off the bat with D'Ambrosio and De Vrij headers in front of goal. I love them, but that's just you got to put at least one of those away because those are just wide open chances that you need to miss. I thought Icardi was on the field for a second. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? But yeah, I think it'd be better going forward. Like I don't think he really meant to start Gagliardini as like hey, it's fine, just go out there. He didn't expect him to be this bad because he was atrocious. He was
Yeah.
everything that we had like under Spalletti, and it's just a trash performance that could probably never see him time on the field again. Um, but going forward, I feel like Conte's gonna clean it up and be like, all right, we gotta put out our best 11 forward because this guy's a fucking idiot. Um, Kandreva, glad that he came on today and just made a better performance. He got one chance, hit the post, unlucky, but um, Slavia I think was a fluke. I want to say we're gonna go there and it's gonna be even harder to play away, but I feel like Conte will be more prepared and he's gonna sit back, probably take some pressure from him, and then counter the share of them and kill them.
Yeah, absolutely. And just piggybacking off that last comment on Slavia and the Champions League, our next game is on the 2nd of October against the Barcelona side who's just lost 2-0 to Granada this morning. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to beat Barcelona. I'm not even going to sit here and say we're going to take a point from the new camp. I'm just going to say what I've been saying in the last video and the last podcast. The Barcelona that we grew up watching 20 years ago, the Barcelona that peaked a decade ago under Guardiola with Ronaldinho, Messi in his prime, Xavi, Busquets, Iniesta, Villa, Etzo, whoever you want to call it, and the Barcelona that won the treble again 5 years ago. These are 3 teams with completely different identities to the current Barcelona side. They are down, they are scared, they are limping on one leg, and
All right.
at the end of the day, when you put them up,
Let me step
just
in
one
on this
sec,
real quick.
one sec, you put them up against other teams in the world, they're still one of the best. But we will never have a better chance at rolling over Barcelona than we do right now.
All right, let's get something straight. Barca, before Dino and Messi got there, were not that great of a club. They
They're
were the
mediocre.
team that used to get their asses whooped in the Champions League by the Italian team. Let's all get that right out there, all right? The only time they won the Champions League before they showed up was with Cruyff in 91, all right? Let's get that out there first and foremost. Like I've told all my Barca friends, the second Messi leaves that club is the second that club goes back to being a basic ass team that's gonna get their asses whooped in Europe every single year.
Second
They're
to
not
Real
gonna make it
Madrid.
past. They're not gonna make it past the quarterfinals. They'll even be lucky to get there. This board that Barca has right now is just trying to find a player to replace Messi. They're just looking for a star name. If they were smart, they would be rebuilding that team from the back with that abysmal and trash ass defense. Everybody sits there and says that Barca's a good team. It's fucking tripping. You need to sit there and really analyze that team. Them trying to buy Neymar was them trying to find a fix for when Messi leaves because that was the stupidest thing in the world. They're willing to sell away their midfield and gut it completely. Right now, their midfield isn't even that good. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
get
not.
why everybody fears them still.
It's average.
It's fucking shocking and appalling that Inter fans are still fearing this Barcelona. Yeah, they got Messi. Put 2 players on them, maybe 3. See what the rest of the team can do.
Well,
Because they
that's what I
can't do
mean, man.
shit.
We got to take it to them, bro. That's what I mean. They're weak. They're rolled over. We're never going to be able to identify so many weaknesses in a Barcelona starting 11. They just got rolled over by Granada, and Granada made it look easy. They don't look good at the moment. We look like a team that will have a much more motivated pre-match dressing room than Barcelona will. Mario, what do you reckon?
Well, I mean, to put it in layman's term, Messi is the goalkeeper, Messi is the defender, Messi is the midfield, Messi is the attack. Without
And the
Messi, this team is just a bunch of yeah. Messi's the coach also because he picks the players and he probably trains the players too. The coach sits on the bench, writes a note down, says, "What will Messi tell us at midfield? Halftime, I'm sorry. What will Messi tell us after the game? How will Messi score his goals?" That's all the freaking Barcelona is. That's what Argentina is. It's the same bullshit. You know, they have no midfield. They have no Xavi Iniesta. It's Rakitic at the peak of his career, maybe, and he's still not even like you can't compare to the Iniesta and Xavi. They have Busquets, who's a freaking he's a glorified center back playing higher up, and I couldn't even tell you who the third or midfielder is in that stupid team now because they're so irrelevant. So
yeah,
they're just making poor decisions. They're going to be backwards. They're going to be like Christian said. They're going to be as average as they can before, as they can be. Um, Real Madrid's in a funk right now, so they'll be able to catch up a little bit. As sad as it is.
yeah, I would have to agree. All right, boys, I want to thank you so much for joining me straight after the derby today. It's been a really, really good start to my day here in Sydney. Christian, the Rilas Rivas, thanks for coming on. Any parting words of wisdom, bro?
Yeah, Milano say I'm annoyed.
That's it, man. That's it.
Te
Shout it
amo.
nice and loud. Mario, thanks for coming on again, bro. Always good to have you.
Of course, it's a pleasure to talk shit with you guys.
Hey, Mario.
Absolutely.
Yo,
Mario,
yo.
are you going to kiss Anthony today?
You were supposed to kiss me.
Nah, it's Anthony's turn.
No, 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 no.
There ain't
I
enough love to
said
go
you have to
for all
kiss
three
me.
of us.
Wait, are you
I
saying
got
all
2
3?
laps, so you could each have a seat.
Oh, shit.
Oh man, funny dudes. All right, man. From all of us here at Inter Worldwide, go and enjoy your day. Don't hurl unnecessary abuse at family and friends because today is a happy day to be an Interesta. From all of us here at Inter Worldwide, Forza Inter. Ciao, ragazzi.
I'm throwing abuse at my cousin. He's a Milan fan.